Welcome everybody to another one of my podcasts, and this is, dare I say, world first? I don't know. This is a first because welcome back, Mr. Tom Boston, the first returning guest on my podcast, which is awesome. For those of you that don't know Tom Boston, you're not in the tech industry, or you're hiding under a rock, or you're not on social. But I've known Tom for I think well over a year now, and been following his journey at SalesLoft, and he's a content creator extraordinaire. And what's been really fascinating is following his journey, and I will shut up in a minute and let Tom do the speaking, is that he's recently changed roles to his title is Social Sales Evangelist. And we all know the big debate, the conversations happening around social selling. Who owns social selling? Does social selling even work? How do I go about creating content? Yada, yada, yada. So I thought, who better than to get back the brilliant and wonderful Tom Boston to share his journey, when the last time we did this was just when the pandemic was kicking off, and we were going, this will be all right. We'll be out of the woods pretty quickly. And here we are for a year and a half later, and we're still at home. Tom, welcome.
Thanks.
And the Wi-Fi.
Thanks so much. It was just over a year ago. The Wi-Fi. Have you still got me?
Yeah, no, we're good. We'll keep going.
I might have to upgrade my Wi-Fi provider. I've been 18 months of remote working, but I've still not made the plunge. As long as you can hear me loud and clear. But I was saying that, we spoke right at the beginning of the pandemic, and here we still are. So much has changed. I've actually changed roles at SalesLoft, gone from an SDR role into a marketing role, this social sales evangelist role. And all the way through the pandemic, and I've always enjoyed speaking to people online about the trials and tribulations of remote working. It's been a journey, definitely.
So for those people that don't know, let's just say, what is SalesLoft? Who is SalesLoft?
Yes, so SalesLoft is a sales engagement platform. We essentially help reps to do more, to close more, to have better conversations. We sit on top of the CRM, and we turn reps into super sellers. Allow them to hit their KPIs, achieve their goals, sell better. That's us in a nutshell.
Cool, awesome. And so you started out as an SDR, so you were there setting the meetings, creating the calls and all that kind of stuff, and then you started to kind of move into the content creation. And I think we should caveat, Tom, that your kind of background, former radio DJ, is that correct? So you've come from the world of content. You are comfortable in terms of content and content creation. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, once upon a time, I was the host of a breakfast radio show. It sounded Newcastle, very small listenership, but I had a lot of fun along the way. And I guess, I was kind of tasked with creating daily content for that radio show. So I've come from a background of having to think on my feet and think of creative and entertaining ideas that people are going to like and enjoy.
Cool. And so what kind of gave you the idea to, bring that into, well, let's be honest, is a pretty traditional outbound, bash the phones, bash the emails, numbers game. You can throw all the technology in the world that you want at it to augment it and support it, but it is the more conversations that you have. So what made you kind of think, you know what, let's give this a go and see what happens?
Well, I think you have to put yourself into the process, right? And I'm a huge advocate of that. There's no kind of one set SDR, like this is what you say, this is what you do. Everyone comes from a different background. We've all got different personalities. And I believe the best way to be successful as a rep is to inject your personality in. It's a funny one because we've only got one personality. So I thought, well, I'm going to kind of bring that into what I'm doing. I'm not going to have that as a separate thing. You know, I am quite a silly person, and I do like to make people smile. And I thought, well, I'm not going to kind of hide that away from my daily role, right? If anything, I'm gonna kind of merge the two and kind of think, well, yeah, could this work in a kind of outbound sales environment? And I've found that kind of bringing my personality into the prospecting and the video prospecting that I was doing, and also then letting that kind of grow on my world has really worked for me, and has allowed me to kind of break through the noise with the outbound, and then also receive kind of inbound leads as well. So it's been like the best of both.
And did you kind of go to so I know Ollie from his previous life at LinkedIn, and now obviously your former manager. Did you kind of go to him and go, can I do this, or did you just start doing it and just hope for the best?
Yeah, well, with the kind of content side of things, you know, way back when I started, it was all just about brand awareness, and we were tasked with going, look, what can we do online to shout about the office launching, and the fact that we had an EMEA office, and we just wanted to show people what we were doing, and I wasn't really doing a lot. You know, I'd kind of left LinkedIn a little bit. I wasn't really updating anything, and I'd looked at my profile and gone, well, when someone has a look at my profile when I'm prospecting them, they're not going to see much of me. You know, they're really not. So I'd kind of made the decision to go, well, and the whole team were really supportive of that. But yeah, I kind of took that initiative to go, well, it's probably not going to be great right at the beginning, but this is going to be a long-term thing. You know, it's a marathon, not sprint. Let's just kind of trickle the content and kind of let it grow and do its own thing. And as the confidence grew, I'm now making content that I probably wouldn't have made when I started, because I'd have been like, no, that's not going to work, or that's not going to land. But I feel like as I've got a bit of a feel for it, and I kind of understand, that's kind of been popular before, or that's the kind of content and I in the content that you enjoy, rather than content that I think other people might like, or I might get a lot of views. It's actually going, well, let's make it enjoyable right from the beginning, and as long as you're having fun making it, I find that they have fun watching it.
Yeah, because it comes across in terms of your personality comes across, and I think I kind of been on the same journey, nowhere near as sophisticated in terms of you, in terms of the content creation, but my kind of hashtag Ask Alex videos started out with me very static, sitting on a chair, about 8 million takes, then messaging loads of people saying please like it so it doesn't crash, to the point where I remember I had this American lady who wasn't even in my network telling me that I'm too preppy, I'm too British. Why are you so stiff? Loosen up. I was like, on LinkedIn. I was like, okay, point taken. I don't know you. Didn't take it to heart. I think kind of just loosened up a bit, to the point where my video, I've only had one thing go viral on LinkedIn, and I never want to go viral again because it's a pain in the backside. Was when I stood fully clothed in a shower and was talking about the tsunami of content and all that sort of thing, and it went absolutely bonkers. Didn't generate a single business lead for me, but like you say, I've been viral once, and then running around the garden dressed up as a pirate, and people are going, "When's the pirate coming back?" And I'm trying to find some context to bring the pirate back in, but not repeating what I've already done. But I completely agree with you. It's very much any type of content I think that you're creating is a journey, to use that cliche, if you will. If you look back to where you've got to start somewhere and start doing it. So you touched on, because I obviously see everything you do in the public domain in terms of the video content that you create and what you're doing on Twitter and so on and so forth. So you talked about video prospecting. So do you inject Tom, what I see out on social, into the video prospecting that you were doing? I'm guessing that's one-to-one. Yes, is that correct?
a slightly watered down version,
Yeah.
right? Because again, I've kind of attributed what I'm doing online to, oh, this is probably going to make you laugh. This is going to be like quite tongue in cheek.
Mm-hmm.
You might recognize some of these scenarios from your sales life, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas when I'm prospecting kind of one-on-one, and again, you said at the beginning of this podcast, you know, unless you've been living under a rock, but I can assure you there are lots of people who I've reached out to who don't have a clue who I am, right? So I have pretense of like, well, this is going to be hilarious. You know who I, because again, that's not how it works. But I would kind of prospect them, add a little bit of my personality, so they get a bit of a flavor, right, of what a 15-minute meeting with me might look like. Because let's not forget, you can have the best pitch in the world, the best product in the world, because I think a lot of people who are reaching out, they do genuinely have an amazing kind of platform, or they do have an amazing product, they have an amazing service. So that bit's kind of not as important, really. You can get to that bit later down the whole process. You're just kind of trying to get someone to understand what a 15-minute initial meeting with you might kind of look like.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of mindset I'm in when I'm making a video.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's lighthearted and it's kind of friendly. I'll bring in some personalization or something that I've seen about them specifically.
Yeah.
I'll compliment them, because everyone likes a compliment, right? I don't care who you are or how high you are in your organization. People love a compliment that's relevant. Let me make that like very, very clear. You know, there's no point just saying picture, or you know what I mean. It has to be relevant. But that's kind of what my prospecting videos looked like. You know, I wasn't kind of doing skits or sketches, but I was kind of giving people a glimpse into what a meeting might kind of look like.
And I guess also a glimpse into, you know, fundamentally what working with SalesLoft will be.
Yeah.
It's as much that, but it's also, you know, the ongoing relationship that one has with an organization, whether you're selling more so in I guess in the world of products, because in the world of kind of service or consulting, that is much more, you know, there's much more kind of human interaction in that. But when you're, you know, on a product led, it's typically when you want the human interaction is when something maybe is not going well, or there's an update or something, and it's not the, you know, because if everything's working and doing as it should be, then there's no reason for me, you know, for them to get in touch with you to say, hey, it's going really, really well, which would be also a nice thing for them to do. But we always know it's usually when things aren't going well is when people get in touch. And then so that the kind of the videos that you were doing from a prospecting perspective, what was the typical length do you see that would get the best, you know, return rate? 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds?
Yeah, I try to not go over 40 seconds. Yeah, if you're kind of making a video that's ticking over 50, 60, a minute plus, I'd often find that even though that doesn't sound like a lot, to listen to a stranger who is interrupting your work day, let's not forget, for kind of over a minute and a half or anything like that, that might be a bit lengthy. And I believe you can get to the point a lot quicker than that. The best videos that I would send out would be between 30 and 40 seconds long.
And typically, you know, what is the structure that you would take? So the relevant compliment, to your point, everyone likes to be complimented, but, you know, fundamentally, I'm guessing there is a root structure that you follow within each video. Would I be right in saying that? Or tell me no, and each video is completely unique and each video is different.
No, they're pretty standard, right? So again, it's a warm introduction, it's the relevant compliment, then it's identifying a problem, providing a solution, and a call to action. When I first started, I would focus very, very heavily on the pain points, the problems, and I know that you're struggling with this, and I've seen online that you'll need help with this, and I believe that we can solve this and that. And I'd watch it back, and I'd be like, this is, there's an air of like desperation in that way of approaching, and I also believe that you're never going to make a video about someone or their organization and come across as that you know more about it than they do, because you don't, right? So I would often make videos and even hold my hands up, and I'd be like, I don't know anything about your industry. Kind of expecting someone that might sound a little bit like counterproductive, but then I would flip it and I'd say, but what I do know a lot about is prospecting at scale with personalization and booking meetings that close more revenue. I hit my targets every single month. Do you want to know a little bit more about that? Because that would pick people's ears up, right? Because you're not trying to, you're not trying to lie to them and pretend that you've kind of learned all about their organization, because you've probably spent about 5 or 10 minutes researching, and you're not going to lie and pretend, the maximum, and you're not going to pretend that you're an industry expert. SDR. Let's say you're an SDR and it's an entry-level role, and it might be your first role.
Yeah.
How can you make someone a video that outlines yourself as an industry expert? Because you're not, right? But I think a lot of reps there's a fear in kind of being that open, and there's a fear in kind of being honest and kind of reaching out to people and kind of being open about like where they are in their career, where they are in their knowledge. But if you're onboarding with the company that you're at is strong, and they teach you every single thing that then that's all you really need when you're kind of reaching out to someone. You don't have to kind of fluff it up and add all that other stuff. If the value prop is strong, which I believe at SalesLoft it is, which is one of the reasons I joined. I used SalesLoft in the past, and I thought, I can definitely sell that. so that's one of the reasons I joined the company. If it's strong, then that's all you really need.
Yeah, awesome. And again, it's to kind of back to basics, is keeping it simple. And I do feel that maybe seeing what's happening online, people try to. I get why they're doing it, but they try to overcomplicate it, and then when you start to overcomplicate things, that when the intended outcome or effect just doesn't work, and you can kind of see what they're trying to do, but when it's poorly executed, it's like, oh, that's just fallen really, really flat. So bring it back to basics. So as you were doing this and being successful, and said, watching the engagement and the followers and the devoted Tom Boston fans on LinkedIn and other social channels, how did the internal conversation start to happen around, hey, we've got someone who's onto something here and is very good at it? What triggered that to take you out of I'm assuming you're not in you are a revenue generating role, but not in the revenue generating role in the same sense that an SDR is. So how did that kind of conversation start to manifest itself internally?
Yeah, well, I'd had a few conversations with people at SalesLoft about kind of where I might go, in regards to my next role. Yeah. And I was a little bit lost, if I'm honest with you, because I wasn't really sure, like, what foolishly just said, oh well, I'll just go and be an AE. I kind of thought, look, I'm just going to do what everybody else does.
Yeah.
You're an SDR, and then you do well, and then you become an AE, and that's the path. Yeah. And I actually had that conversation with someone at SalesLoft, and they looked me in the eye and said, I don't believe you. And I'm not a very good liar, as my wife will tell you. And that very much just crumbled as I was like, I don't want to be an AE. I've kind of been that kind of world for quite a while.
Yeah.
And I would really love to maybe be in a role that's a bit more creative and maybe use some of the skills I've got elsewhere.
Yeah.
So I went back to the drawing board and worked with a lot of people at SalesLoft, including Ollie, who we've spoken about already, my old SDR manager, Rob. And we actually said, look, let's go back to the beginning. Let's actually create a role, and then we'll speak to the relevant people, and we'll show them what we've come up with.
Yeah.
So we created a hybrid role, which was around like content creation, but also kind of social selling training for customers as well as SalesLoft employees, and then also a kind of social media management role. So it was kind of a mixture of everything.
Yeah.
And everyone said yes all the way. All the way up to the top, and it sounded a bit too good to be true.
Yeah.
But spoke to our amazing leadership team, who were so on board, and just said, "Look, yeah, we want to kind of we want to see where you can take this."
Yeah.
And I think it was a lot of my conversations about SalesLoft were kind of 50%. Let's talk about this amazing platform, but 50%. I want to know about LinkedIn. Tell me about your social selling.
Yeah.
I want my reps to be making content. How many leads do
Yeah.
brainer to have a role that's around that, because to be able to offer training to our SalesLoft customers to kind of recreate some of the success that I've had really gets me going, because I think, well, that's an amazing thing to be able to do. But then to also have the opportunity to see where the content can go, and there's a lot of exciting projects coming up in the next few months. So keep your eyes peeled. But yeah, it's something that that's me plugging myself. It's something that I'm so excited about, and I feel very lucky that SalesLoft have kind of backed me all the way from day one. But now kind of more than ever.
But I think it's 100% testament to the management, to the management team at SalesLoft, because they've also allowed you to push. Whilst your content is very safe, in terms of what you're doing, you are pushing the boundaries of what more traditional organizations from a branding perspective may have a bit of a meltdown about, in terms of where you've gone with it. But what I think is so clever but simple is that you're kind of building on you don't sell SalesLoft. It's the kind of the passive nature of the content that you create is typically having a dig at the role of sales or the sales industry. It's every single person on the planet can relate to what you're talking about. But the subtlety of how you kind of bring SalesLoft into it, I think it's clever, because not everyone has that ability to do that. And I'm fascinated to follow your TikTok journey. I'm very glad you're on TikTok now, Tom, in terms of, if you look at what some of the bigger brands are doing and how they're just leveraging some of the trends that are out there. And that's just picking up a whole new demographic, a whole new generation of potential buyer. But it's also interesting for me, it'd be interesting to get your view on this, is how I've seen a massive shift in terms of the content on LinkedIn change over the last 15 to 18 months, basically since the pandemic kind of happened. It's become a lot. It hasn't gone all Facebook, and I don't think it should, but it's certainly become a lot more human, I would suggest, and slightly more relaxed, still blended with the kind of the corporate messaging that we need. I mean, what have you seen that on your side of the coin, as it were? Because no doubt you're seeing different stuff to me in terms of the nefarious algorithm and so on.
Yeah, I certainly think that people, with the pandemic, have felt more empowered to show their true selves online. I changed my profile picture to something that was a little bit more kind of lighthearted, rather than me looking straight down the lens. I've been really open about the fact that I shoot my videos on my phone, and they're often on my dining room table. I'm not kind of too worried about it being, I want it to be real. That's the point I'm getting to. And I feel like with LinkedIn, maybe even a few months ago or a year and a half ago, it was very much like, well, I'm going to present my corporate self online. Maybe if I want to have a bit more fun, I'll go on to another social media site. But for LinkedIn, it's going to be kind of, look how good I am. Look at what I've achieved. And here's how I'm being successful in my role. Mm-hmm. Whereas kind of, I think more recently, people have just gone, well, we're all kind of, most of us are remote working, and people like to engage with people who are just kind of being themselves. I almost don't like to use the word authentic, because I feel like that's kind of it's really it's really done to death. But I genuinely believe that if you create content consistently and you don't try to put a kind of a front on it, or like a corporate spin on it, if you like, if you just yourself in your role, and you make content that you enjoy making, and you do that for a while, because it takes a while, then you can see success. And I love the fact that I jump on LinkedIn and I see people, pictures of people's kids, and what they did at the weekend. I know that you love to barbecue, for example. I see a lot of, it's great, it's nice, like why not? It's social media, and if you take it too seriously, you're going to struggle, I think, to really thrive.
I totally agree with you. And I think also, to caveat, this doesn't mean that everyone has to go and do this. If you can get a proportion of your employee base engaging with this, that's probably good enough. We wouldn't necessarily expect every single person to be kind of doing what you did and continue to do what I do, and so on, because some people aren't comfortable in doing it, and it's not what they don't feel comfortable. Fine, you don't have to do that then, but those are the employees that want to do it. And that's the other thing. It's your point about your skill sets. I do always wonder, how many organizations have got amazing videographers, content creators, and their IT team, and their finance team, and their marketing team. It could be the tea lady, it could be the janitor, it could be all this employee base that they have, and they probably have this massive untapped skill set which they could repurpose and leverage somewhere else. And I just, every time I have conversations with the clients about it, I was like, do you really think you should be outsourcing this? You maybe got some pretty good people who could do this internally for you. So just going back to your role then. So are you carrying a number? In sense, is there an expectation that you need to have generated X number of something by the end of the financial year, however your year runs?
Well, no. So I kind of report into the brand and the comms team. Mm-hmm. So yes, this first time in my career, well, at least for the past 5 years, that I've not had a number.
Fine. But is there any kind of tracking in terms of what you're doing that's generating leads, or so you've got some kind of sense of, by doing this and this and this is working, but this isn't working so well, so maybe we'll do something else, type sort of thing?
Yeah, well, I think the great thing is, I've spent the past year and a bit kind of testing the water in regards to like what kind of content works, and we've seen, for example, huge spikes in engagement of things like webinars that I've promoted, or events, right? Just based on some quite silly, let's be honest, videos, about that event. And I've really enjoyed working with the team to kind of put some numbers about that, and to kind of track that, because I wasn't really doing that at the beginning. Mm-hmm. It was more just like leads will kind of trickle through here and there. But I think now more than ever, we're really able to attribute, especially with things like UTM codes and all that kind of stuff, like what kind of content is getting them the most traction. Mm-hmm. It's going to be part of my role to help build that as well, but I am only a few weeks in. But I think we're gonna get to a stage where, like, say, we can really start to attribute what good content looks like, and how that how that turns into leads, and then I'll be able to help obviously our SalesLoft customers and our team to better understand that as well.
Awesome, fantastic. And so before I let you go, because I know that you're busy with your creative juices, what editing software do you shoot on your phone? But what editing software do you use?
Yeah, so I use Final Cut Pro on a MacBook Pro, and I shoot on an iPhone. I used to work at the Apple Store, and I'm Apple through and through. I think probably Final Cut might be a little bit advanced for what most people need. There are some great platforms out there that are free. iMovie is fantastic on a Mac, just for kind of cutting up and splicing up content. But if there are people listening to this who might have listened to what we said earlier about, look, I'm sure there's people who can make content and can make video, and there might be some people listening and go, well, I can't do any of that. And I would encourage people to go, well, why don't you actually look at what you could start doing on a daily basis and on a weekly basis to help build a brand. And I think a lot of people are missing a trick, with all the knowledge and the experience that they've got. What if they found one thing that they wanted to attribute themselves to as their personal brand and did that consistently? Because I very, very quickly became, that's the guy who does like funny sales videos. That happened quite quickly for me, and I feel like people have got the opportunity to go, well, what do I want to be like? What do I want to be known for online? Do I want to be sharing knowledge? Do I want to be the person who tells stories? And I feel like, that's kind of where organizations should go. They should look internally and go, we might not have a whole team who are comfortable to go downstairs and do a TikTok dance in the living room, but we might have a team who can do some storytelling, who can write some mini blogs and mini articles. I think the opportunity is huge, and I really encourage people to kind of look at how they could add to the conversation.
Awesome, and what a way to I think close this returning guest podcast, Tom. It's always like this. I feel like I know you more than I know you based on what I've following your journey on online, and maybe we'll get to meet in person one time soon again and go out for a beer. But I'm guessing they can find you on certainly LinkedIn. They can find you on Twitter. They can now find you on TikTok if you're on TikTok. I'll put all those links into the thing somewhere. I still haven't got this YouTube pointing at things, right? This is not sponsored by Huel, by the way. I forgot I had this t-shirt on during those that are watching. But Tom, thank you so much for coming on again, and I look forward to seeing the projects that you're mentioning. No doubt will manifest themselves online at some point in the next couple of months. But Tom, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Cheers, mate.